Order.
Jenkins.
Here.
Harden.
Here.
Hahn.
Here.
Monahan. Here. Pearl.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have no public comments, so we move to section 1.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Call it.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Monahan.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Motion carried.
With no unfinished business, we move to section 3, and this evening we have a presentation by the Kiwanis, the South Park presentation. So we will, I'm assuming Susan, you are taking the lead. So we'll have our superintendents.
First, let me just say, as school board, we could learn something from you guys and your efficiency in getting through section 1 and 2. So I'll make that observation. Thanks for letting us come. I'm here as the secretary for Kiwanis, and we have several Kiwanians here today. Mike Hendricks is our president. Paul Phillips is our newest member, I believe. And Jerry McKinley is, well, he's been around a while, so we all know Jerry. And we have Renee Beard, and she's here with All Inclusive Rec. So as you know, Kiwanis finished up the Weedman Park project. It looks great. It's a real asset for the community, and now we need something else to do with our spare time. So we have, we know that South Park is kind of a priority for you guys in terms of you want to get water out to the park, you want to do some more things out there. And we think that there's a lot of potential. We've looked at some of the plans. Mike was able to dig up some stuff back from, what club was that you were in years ago? JC's.
Yeah.
And some plans that were in place 2 or 3 decades ago. And so anyway, what we would like to do is, first of all, we want to start out with organizing a cleanup at South Park this spring. So there's a running trail back there, which many of you probably know. It was news to me about 6 months ago. We're going to go back out there, clean that up, get it spruced up. I think Larry's working on some things to help Marty Price do some work at the soccer field. And if you want to say anything, you can. If you don't,
We'll just go ahead.
just keep it going. Okay, I can do that. So we basically want to spruce up what's out there now, and we'll involve community groups, and we'll involve the sports teams that use it. And as you all know, because I'm looking around the table, you all have kids, that park is used constantly, especially during the summertime and spring and fall. So besides the cleanup day, we also want to start fundraising to install new play equipment out there. And that's one of the reasons Renee is here. We spent about, I think, $70,000 on the Weedman project. And as you remember, that was a big joint effort. Clark Foundation was a big part of that. You all were a big part of that. And so what we'd like to do, we've looked at some various scenarios, and they had kind of a cool farm theme, which we thought, why not, right? And so Renee brought some samples of the material because there's some neat features to it. And I thought I'd just turn it over to you, Renee, to kind of give an explanation of that.
Absolutely. So I can field any questions that you might have about the playground, but I'll just give you a general description. And then if you'd like, I'll go ahead and just maybe start passing around this one sample so you can feel how realistic it is. So this particular playground is, like Susan said, farm themed, and there are some nature pieces on it. And the nature pieces will all be made out of this material you guys are seeing here. So very realistic, also very lightweight, so very easy to install, which would make a difference if you guys decided to do a community build like you did at Weedman Park. You don't need any kind of special equipment per se, you don't need any large cranes, because sometimes when you do that nature play stuff, it's all made out of a reinforced concrete, which is very heavy, so the cost of your installation really gets driven up by that sort of thing. So this is a playground that we designed that's for ages 2 to 12, so it's going to kind of encompass all your people who are out there playing. There's some motion pieces on here. There's a lot of climbing. There's actually a lot of play underneath the decks. So the decks, it's kind of hard to tell here, but the decks are 72 inches high. So you have a real sense of playing underneath the deck, and all of those pieces that are underneath are all ADA accessible, so it's really an inclusive playground as well, so it meets those needs. There's also an ADA transfer station around the back, right here. So it is all accessible for wheelchair use as well. It's all ADA compliant. We have some motion pieces in the back, the Spring Riders. This is also a motion spinner. We've got some swings included, and then your nature pieces are up front. We have kind of a clubhouse theme going on, some pods for balance. And then underneath here, we actually have a Tapatoon panel, which is going to give you some motion or some music play on the playground as well. So we've tried to really take. So there's no real equipment out there right now. I think you guys moved what you had out at Weedman Park. So there's not a lot of play out there right now. So we tried to, like, in one shebang, kind of get your climbing, your sliding, your motion, your imaginative play. This playground is large enough that it kind of encompasses all of the play groups. Anything I can answer about a community build or?
I have a question about the Tapatoon.
Uh-huh.
What is it like, you press a button and you hear music?
No, it's actually, it's just chimes. So there's a scale. You can actually tap
it's
out.
It's not anything that's electronic or anything.
No.
They make their own music. Okay.
They make their own music, yeah, and it's a full scale. It's a full scale, so you could actually tap out a song on it. Now it is commercial. It's it's in a lot of parks, and there's not a lot of maintenance, even though there are more moving parts to it. But it is chime based. Anything else?
How much area does it cover?
How much area does it cover? That's a good question. We have a 2D here somewhere. I want to say it's like 135 by 50, and that's just off the top of my head.
Sure.
We do have an overview of it.
Okay.
I think that when I was out at the park, we kind of talked about putting it would be to the south side of the ball fields. Is that correct? I think it would be closer to as you come in the entrance, it would be before you got to the ball fields. I think that's the south side.
So back kind of like a pavilion in that area back there?
Exactly. So we wanted it, positioning it wise, obviously you could drop it anywhere you wanted, but ideally, when you've got older users out there using the ball fields, it's kind of nice that within the same site perimeters, parents can watch the younger users on the playground equipment.
What's the time frame on putting something like that in?
So what I had talked with the Kiwanis group about is a supervised install. And so we would have a certified factory installer come out, and he'd probably be out for anywhere from 3 to 4 days with a group of volunteers. And it would be well enough along that you guys were comfortable with just finishing up the loose ends. It'd probably take a week total, and that would be absolute tops. It's going to be pretty much finished outside of the surfacing being put in by the time he leaves, and that's 3 to 4 days.
And what kind of money is this going to cost to do that?
The roundabout figure, and obviously this is just something that we put together. It could be larger, it could be smaller, depending on what you guys decide you wanted to do. But this is right around $78,000, and that's the playground equipment. That's delivered. That's your safety surfacing, your ADA compliant safety surfacing, and that's your supervised install as well. And that pricing, because the equipment itself alone, without the installation or delivery of any of that, is right around $77,000. But that total project cost includes a pretty hefty, about a $16,000 discount that you get by ordering through a program we have called NJPA. And it's a program that municipalities and school districts are able to take advantage of. You get pre-negotiated discounts by ordering through that program. So we went ahead and factored that in for you. That's the way you ordered the equipment at Weedman Park, so we went ahead and ran it through as if that's the way you would do it this time.
So I know the real question is, how much are we here to ask you for, right? So, in terms of money. So we're looking at asking the city if we would budget $15,000 for this project, and then we're going to go work, on fundraising, and we'll write a grant to Clark Foundation and things like that. Last time we did it in 3 phases, and that way we were able to do some each summer. It costs a little more because you have to do the installation piece of it, multiple times. And this has the wood 5-bar mulch, which is same thing that we use at Weedman Park and also Schneider Playground. And it's handicap.
It is ADA compliant.
It's ADA compliant. Right.
And because it's a loose fill material, whenever it comes time for you to replenish your parks, you can literally you could order in several truckloads and then they could make drops at each of the parks.
When you say 3 phase, are you talking about 3 years or just 3 phases all in 1 year?
That was 3 phases for the Weedman part.
Weedman was 3 phases in 3
And
years.
this will just be a one,
This one, we haven't worked all that out. It kind of depends on how the fundraising goes. But that's always a possibility that we do parts of it.
All of the equipment
Phased out.
is very modular, so if you wanted to just do a section at a time, you lose some of the savings because that NJPA is a sliding scale, so your discount is based on the equipment total price. And then also, when you ship, and then you ship again, and you ship again, you're paying shipping 3 times, and you're paying for the installer to come out 3 times. So we can definitely look at it phased, or all together, however, we can break it out, however, so if you guys wanted to analyze what that looks like both ways, we could do that for you.
So, one is we need your permission to do this. This is your park, not ours. So if you are willing to let us take on the project, and similar to Weedman Park, where we just basically got your okay, and then we kind of went with it, and then if we do phase it out, we'll no doubt be back next spring when it comes time for budgeting to, make subsequent requests, just like we did last time. And then the second piece would be to ask for you to put some money in your budget this year for us. And besides that, we have some fundraisers coming up, so I thought I might as well announce them publicly. We have I'm calling it the Sweetheart Chili Supper, because it's on February 14th, and that's going to be very romantic to come to Chili Supper, if you'd like to. It'll be at the basketball game at the high school, and we'll start serving at 5:30. It's always very good. We have a pancake breakfast March 2nd, and we'll be using the Schneider cafeteria for that. That'll be 6 to 10 a.m. And we have a golf outing that's in the works, we think, for Kiwanis. So those are some of our upcoming things. Any questions?
Thank you.
March
Mary.
2nd was the pancake breakfast?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
6 a.m. Doors will open.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2013-7, authorizing the Kiwanis Club to obtain funding and renovating the playground equipment at South Park.
Any discussion?
And this is just permission, this isn't the funds, right?
Right.
This is just permission. Any discussion? Call it?
Harden?
yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
Pearl?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next up is Ruth from DCDC will come and present to us this evening.
Hi, it's been a whole year since I've given you an update. Mike's been around to hear what we've been up to, but we've stepped up our efforts for Farmer City and found ways of reporting some of it to you too. Still, we have the confidentiality issues, so there's some places where there are no names that you'll understand. But this year I brought Mark over more. Mark Kello is a volunteer who's been helping us look for properties and helping us with entrepreneurs and helping us match the two of them together in many cases. We've been over here weekly, either both of us or one of us. We work with property owners, work with local realtors. We've helped a little bit on looking on the 20 acres, working with the realtor that you had for a little while, and now working with Sherry and Kurt. We talked to a hotel chain that's still an opportunity, we hope. Shopco said no. It's good to hear a no once in a while instead of a maybe. At least you know when to move on. And at least you know we keep trying. We've worked at marketing Jonathan Fields building and some of these other buildings that I've got listed here. And even working with Josh on his property. And posting all of these properties to Location One, which you can get to pretty easily at DCDC's website. The lake project is still important to Farmer City too, since you're the gateway to the lake from the Champaign area and the Chicago area. and that we will come out with a new request for proposal in the spring on that. More information about it and bringing in more events that are happening here in Farmer City in the request for proposal information. And we go to ICSC, which is the International Conference on Shopping Centers. That's where we run into developers and retailers that we hope will come downstate. And they're in Chicago and Bloomington. So we did that all through the year, and we'll be going again on March 13th. In recruiting business, working with prospects, we've been, as you know, for the past since the Gibson area hospital opened up the clinic, we've been looking for a pharmacy. And we have a local pharmacist in town, so we've been working with a couple of pharmacy development groups. So hopefully we'll have a pharmacy in here eventually. Every time you talk about a project like that, I have to mention that it takes a long time for most projects to work. Recently we had Richland Community College announce their groundbreaking for their expansion of 4,000 square feet in Clinton. Well, we've been working with them since May of 2008, and before I even got there were lots of people working with them. So it takes a while to get a project going. We're always excited to see them finally make it. We are working with a number of local entrepreneurs. Got a lot of talent in Farmer City and surrounding area. Searching for properties for retailers, working with artists continuously, and bringing those artists over to Clinton, and hopefully bringing the Clinton artists over here to some projects. Working with the Chamber on their artisan program in March, and I hope they'll pull in artists from all over the county. We brought those artists over to Clinton for a holiday artist sale. With the existing businesses, we've worked on with marketing plans, because we're here for the businesses that are here, the entrepreneurs that already have their business here and are still successful. They may need some tweaking or some classes or some ideas or brainstorming. So we've worked with a couple of them on marketing. We've looked at grants for some others. Mayor Jenkins and I went over to Next Generation and we'll go to some other businesses this year. And as far as marketing and PR, we do a lot on our website about Farmer City, and we support all of your projects. So we got to play in the parades, volunteered for the 175th, got to volunteer for the WCIA Our Town. That was so much fun. And we continue to post things to Facebook and any other way that we can help promote Farmer City and shopping local. Also, we are participating in the Farmer City Chamber and volunteering for the dinner committee and that artisan show that we hope to help them with in March. And recently I got to be a speaker for the Farmer City Kiwanis. Resources. We work with you to bring you resources. We work with Larry and Mike and the rest of you. We hope to find any kind of resource that you need. It's up to the city, of course, you all have all the day-to-day work and the rules and regulations, and you get to talk to people who are looking for important information from you. And we hope to bring you leads for new businesses, and we hope to bring you resources. Most people are looking for funds, so we hope to find grants and loans and programs, USDA, Ameren, NICOR, things like that. So we've been working with all of you on that. Met with Paul with Gibson Area Hospital, because we know that they're working to promote Farmer City, and we'd like to help any way we can. And we were even on the DeWitt County Transportation Committee, try to find some way to bring more transportation opportunities to the county. And then on the second sheet, Michelle helped me with a pivot table this year. And that is still the hardest thing I have ever done. So this is the list. The business contacts that we have are 232 potential contacts that we made this year. And out of that, how many times did we talk to them, and what type of business were they? Were they a prospect or a developer? Did they own property here? And then we even took that same information and said, did it pertain to Clinton or Farmer City? Or was it a combination? Like when we were talking about a gas station last year, Farmer City, Kinney, and Weldon all were interested in a gas station, still are. So that's why they're all listed together, because you can't just call them up for Farmer City, then hang up and call them back for Kinney. And I guess you could. And so looking at this, we've stepped up doing things with Farmer City and in Farmer City. None of this is working with our peers, working with the resources, working with the government officials. All of this is specifically with the businesses. As you can see, just in Farmer City, we spend about 19% of our time on Farmer City. Then you add in the combination with the Clinton Farmer City calls that we've made, 24%. So for the 13% investment that you've made, we're giving a great deal more than 24% back and enjoying it too. And see that with all the work that you're doing in Farmer City and the work that we can help you with, we can really move forward and get some positive things coming to town. As you've seen, you've already done quite a bit. You've already got new businesses coming to town. You've done some great upgrades to the inside of the city for the 175th. So whatever we can do to continue helping you with that, it's great. Now, on top of all that, let's see. We're requesting that this year, that we've got the $13,000 for this year's budget, and then some for next year. I have the budget in there. Trying to juggle all this. And I even showed, we did some details this year with our budgets, showing what we've been doing for the last few years and what funds we've been getting, how it's being spent, where it's being spent, and some opportunities that we'll have with it. This spring, we hope to start our seminars on marketing. We have a specialist that's going to come in and talk about social media and Facebook and websites and traditional marketing, about 5 different seminars or workshops on it. And that's why we have a negative $3,000 in our budget for this year. And for next year, because we didn't spend the money last year when we were working on it and spread it out over the next 2. The first list that you looked at was as the partners have split up, have invested in the organization. It shows when the payments were and how they were, and who's paying what. So yours is 13% of the $100,000 that we get. Now, most of you have met Mark Killo. He's been a volunteer now for 3 years, almost 4 years, helping us part-time, and he's taken on more and more. And because of him, we've been able to make many, many more contacts than we ever did before. We also have an office manager, Tricia Young. She's been there with the federal program, Experience Works, for almost 4 years. We haven't had to pay a cent for her either. Both of them have been working for us part-time. And Tricia's program, the grant money is gone on May 19th. So we're looking to increase for next fiscal year, increase and come up with $40,000 so that we can keep those 2 on hand, on staff, so that we can put Mark on staff for part-time. And then keep Tricia. Have you got any questions?
Of all the businesses that you've got in contact with, at least in some sort of contact back with you,
Of all?
they've all either said maybe or no or yes.
Yes, maybe no or yes, yeah. We don't have very many just hanging out there. We do have some that have said maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after that. So you just have to keep in contact with it. When we go to those ICSC meetings, it's pretty frustrating because they're looking for, in this economy, they're looking for high household income and they're looking for a dense population. So we've asked we keep asking, should we keep coming to people who like us, who've come many times? Should we keep coming, or are we wasting our time? And I said, well, when they're ready to come downstate, they won't remember you if you don't come. So it's relationship building. It's just like any other kind of sale. Mike's going to go with us to one of our conferences soon, to the Illinois Institute of Rural Affairs. We take 3 board members every year, and we can learn from our peers and from some other agencies about ways that they've increased business, ways that they've retained business, any new grants or loans that are out there. We still have our revolving loan fund. It started out at $110,000 that we got from the USDA in 2010. We've loaned it out to 2 different new businesses. One was outside of Clinton and the other one inside of Clinton. The one outside of Clinton is the Serpro of Central Illinois. It was a 5-year loan at 3% interest. And he came in yesterday and gave us, paid ahead and said that he will pay us off earlier than 5 years. The business is doing very well, and he's very happy with the fact that we helped him get started in a difficult economy. The second one is West Innovations. They just started this year, so they're just getting started, and most of the fundings that we help them with would be for marketing. Some of it was for equipment. Still have about 20,000 left, and we have 2 people who've made an application for it. Been trying to get someone from Farmer City to fill out an application for it. I'd like to have it over here. I'd like to have it over here doing some good.
Other questions?
Yeah, I agree. I just have to figure out how to phrase it. So far this year, how many new businesses have you brought to our county? And where's the largest number of them been?
Largest number are in Clinton, the largest population.
Okay.
We've been working here in Farmer City, helping to retain some businesses and helping some businesses talking about expanding. We personally haven't brought anybody new here. We thought that we would have someone new here by December 31st, but we're having problems finding the perfect site for them. So hopefully by the end of next year, you'll see that one.
So how many new businesses have you brought to our
For
county?
the whole county, I don't have all those numbers in front of me.
I would be interested in those numbers if you
I
could
can see
email
those. Yeah.
that.
I'm glad to do
That'd be
that.
great. Thank you.
I'll email that to all of you.
That'd be fine.
And after you all look that over, just let me know what other questions you have.
I'd like to have the names of the businesses also.
Sure. I know Richland, that's an expansion, not a new one. Yeah, if I did this, it would
I'm
only be
interested
by,
in just new.
it would be by memory, and that wouldn't be very good.
That's fine.
Anything else?
I don't have questions because I see you quite often, so I get to ask you then, but I just want to say that I appreciate the much increased involvement you guys have had, at least that I've seen you in this last year, at chamber meetings and different things that have been going on, and so thank you because you've helped us as a chamber
Good, thanks.
and that expertise, so I appreciate it.
We always encourage entrepreneurs to, and new businesses to join the chambers wherever they are, because we really believe in the chambers. And I think I was telling you or someone at the dinner that in the Clinton area there was a new business, and that business came to me and said, this is expensive, I hate to spend this money. So I asked that person to calculate what one referral, how many referrals would it take for them to make money. And so one referral would have paid 3 times for their membership. So I said, you know, if you participate in a chamber event and you participate in chamber meetings, you're going to get at least one to pay for that. So they joined the chamber. And that's what I suggest for this chamber too. Anytime I'm talking to business people. But you have to participate. You have to be a part of your community, and then it'll pay off.
Any other questions? Ruth, thank you for your time. We do appreciate it.
No, you're fine. See how resilient it is?
Entertain to move on to item number 4 in section 3.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 914, ordinance amending the electrical ordinance. It will establish the date for disconnection of electrical service for non-payments.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is simply a little bit of housekeeping, if that's what you'd like to call it. Nowhere in our electrical ordinance does it actually state a disconnection date. And so we thought that we better get this thing ironed out, so there's no confusion in the city hall and with the customers themselves. So now when it states on your bill disconnect date,
It's the last Wednesday of the month.
it will be, if approved.
So that's always just been on the bill, never had.
Never been on the books, just on the bill.
Any questions, discussion? Call?
Han,
Yes.
Monahan,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session 5 ILCS 120/2C5 to discuss the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body.
I'll second.
Call
Monahan,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
it? Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
motion carried.
We are now in executive. You'll hear something. Something relevant. We're in section 4, the city manager's report.
The only thing that I have is that we had discussed about placing an ad in the newspapers for an opening for water and wastewater superintendent. That has been done. No one's come in yet, but obviously we're just running it on a Wednesday and on a Sunday, so it might take a little bit to get some results. So that's a
What
short.
paper is that?
The News Gazette and the Pancrat.
Any questions to the city manager then? Any non-agenda items, another business? We had a meeting, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the passing of Gene Reeser that happened January 2nd. There was some discussion about replacing him, and had some long conversations with Clark, and even touched base with our city's lawyer as well. We have met as a foundation today, and we had 2 candidates that were presented before us, and we discussed it. And after a lot of discussion and a lot of thought, I am naming Joyce Wells as the replacement of Mr. Gene Reeser, and that it will be effective immediately. So, is there any questions on that?
Yeah, what position are we talking about?
This is a Clark Foundation position, so it was an elected position.
And she's representing who?
She will now represent Clark Foundation as one of the elected officials. Mr. Reeser was on a 6-year term. He came in the same time that we did, so his tour of duty would have been finished 2017. We still have some questions about that, and we're going to speak to a lawyer on that, whether or not she can stay till 2017 or if she needs to be brought up for election, but we'll deal with that question. But as of right now, we need to name her before the 60 days, because we're coming up to that. So, other questions? Any other non-agenda items or anything to give to our reporters who waited so patiently? Then we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Call it?
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
Monahan,
Yes.
Pearl, motion carries.